program in, thank you, my apologies. Um, in Prince George's County, whose purpose is to provide representation to a large number of unrepresented litigants in family court. All of our judiciary attorneys must have at least 3 years of family law experience or a mentor. We do have a mentorship program for anyone who has less than 3 years experience and would still like to get involved. Judiciary attorneys are compensated up to 35 hours at a rate of $120 per hour with a maximum total payment per case of $4,200. Any hours past that can be logged as pro bono. Every fourth Tuesday of the month, we have this mentorship meetup to support our newer attorneys and give information to different resources that are available and guidance to any attorneys interested in family law about how they can seek professional growth and some networking connections. And it also serves to see possible mentors in the future and spread awareness of this program. So just some updates on the litigation fund. Any volunteer attorneys handling judicare or pro bono cases through MLSC funded programs can request litigation fund assistance to cover qualified litigation expenses. As this fiscal year is ending, I believe that things are due on July 1st. Yes, so any past expenses from this year need to be requested to MLSC within this next week or so. So definitely look into that if that is something you are interested in. There are no caps on expenses for judicare cases, though funds may be exhausted. I do not know if they are yet. Ivy, would you know by chance if they have been? I don't think we've gotten any word about funds being exhausted, so I think that there should still
They're
be available
definitely
ones.
encouraging people to still apply. If you have a question about whether an expense that you have incurred for litigation is covered by the fund, I definitely reach out directly to PBRC. They have definitely covered unique things before, like best interest attorneys, contract services, and service of process, things of that nature. So definitely make use of that fund.
Awesome. Yes, and it's a really great resource, especially since you got to take the funds you can get while you still have them. Once the new fiscal year starts, we'll update this information with information for next year as well. And just a reminder in terms of invoices and case reports, they are due July 1st. Please start sending in any invoices you have for June. I mentioned this in the email I sent out earlier this week, but we really need to make sure that the invoices get in on time this week, specifically for our grant reports that are due. So please try to get those in by July 1st. If that's going to be a problem for anyone, just let me know and I can try to work something out with you. So to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Denise C. McCain is a foremost domestic violence expert, researcher, visionary leader, and trailblazer in the movement to break the cycle of intimate partner violence. With more than 30 years of experience in the field, Dr. McCain has worked on the front lines as a grassroots advocate, a domestic violence program director, and a government administrator for Federal Violence Against Women Act funded programs. She is also the former Maryland State Coordinator of Victim Services for the Maryland Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention, where she served as a legislative liaison working to ensure compliance and implementation of statutory crime victims' rights within Maryland's criminal justice agencies. In June 2016, Dr. McCain was appointed as the director of the Prince George's County Family Justice Center, an initiative of the Circuit Court of Prince George's County. As you will learn through her presentation, this multidisciplinary, multi-agency organization provides comprehensive wraparound services to survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and elder abuse with the support of 22 co-located government and nonprofit agencies. Later in May of 2019, Dr. McCain was nominated and confirmed as by the Prince George's County Council to serve as commissioner on the Prince George's County Commission for Women, where she served as chair for 2 terms from 2019 to 2023. Dr. McCain currently sits on the board of directors for the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence, where she serves as secretary. She also lends her expertise in government management as an adjunct professor at Bowie State University's College of Business in its Graduate Public Administration Department. Dr. McCain is distinguished in Maryland by her accomplishments and is the recipient of numerous awards that were received for the notable work she has undertaken to combat gender-based violence. She holds a bachelor's degree in sociology and criminology from Spelman College in Atlanta, a master's degree in public administration from my alma mater, New York University, and a doctorate degree in public administration from the University of Baltimore in the College of Public Affairs. With that, I am very excited to pass this over to Dr. McCain, and I'm very excited for this presentation.
Well, thank you, Michaela, for that. I appreciate the introduction, and I did not know that you are a former NYU grad as well. It's been a while. Yes, yay, go for NYU. But thank you all so much for having me. Truly a pleasure to be with you today, and also really want to take this opportunity to thank you as well for the work that you do. One of the things that we know and have learned very early on is that legal services are key for survivors. In fact, we have expanded our legal program since we opened our doors back in 2016, because that was actually identified as one of the most critical and in-demand resources and services for survivors. So bear with me for a minute because I'm moving around here and I'm trying to get back to my primary slide. So the Family Justice Center, we have been here since 2016. Are you all seeing the main screen or my note screen? I can't tell because I'm working from two laptops right now.
I'm
What are
not
you
seeing either yet.
You're not seeing either of them yet. Okay, so give me a minute. Let me go back. See what's happening here. You're still not seeing anything.
No, it is
Okay,
going
I
on.
thought, okay, I thought I shared my screen, but I guess I didn't. So let me just X out of this completely. My apologies here. Share. Okay. Are you seeing anything? Nope. Still not seeing anything. Do you not see it yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Okay, very good. Now let me get to the PowerPoint. All right, I think we're there now. And get to the right screen. Okay, we good? Everybody on board? Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. So again, as I was saying, thank you so much for having me. As was stated, the Family Justice Center, we are an initiative of the Circuit Court here in Prince George's County. We opened our doors in 2016. And of note, this Family Justice Center is the only family justice center in the country, and there are over 150 right now, that operates under the authority of a court. Most family justice centers are either run by a nonprofit agency or a criminal justice organization, such as the police department or state's attorney's office. So that makes us very unique in that regard. I will also point out that there are now 3 family justice centers here in the state of Maryland, Harford County being the first, Montgomery County, and of course, Prince George's County. We are all very different. We all look different, as we should, because a family justice center should really mirror the community. One of the things that's most unique about ours is that we, in addition to serving survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, we also represent and serve survivors of human trafficking and elder abuse. So from that standpoint, we are very unique compared to the other 2 that are here in Maryland. When we were established, I think many of you probably know, particularly given that you work in this county, domestic violence was at a place where the numbers were extremely high, specifically fatalities. We had several very high profile cases that drew a lot of attention to the issue here. And it was clearly understood that more was needed. Survivors were really being, I don't want to say they weren't getting the necessary support that they needed. Many were falling through the cracks, and it became apparent that more was needed. So a task force was formed, and representatives from varying organizations, stakeholders, survivors, judges, everyone that really should have been at the table was a part of the task force, and looked at what could we do or what could be done to make this process more efficient, more client-centered, and something that would really streamline processes and give survivors what they needed to navigate, which we all know can be a very complicated and complex system. So in 2016, this is a photo of the grand opening. At the time, the Honorable Sheila Archillison Adams was the chief and administrative judge at the circuit court at the time. And she decided that, I don't want to say she, the task force decided that this was really what was needed in Prince George's County. Again, the goal being to address survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, and elder abuse, but to do so in a manner that really recognized the courage, the strength, and the need for more holistic, client-centered wraparound resources here in the county. So what are we? As you heard in the introduction, we are this multi-agency collaborative. We are comprised of six governmental entities, I should say, to include the police, the sheriff's office, the state's attorney's office. We also brought in social services providers to include the Department of Social Services, the Department of Family Services, as well as even the health department, which provides HIV testing. Again, something that would be needed for survivors of sexual assault and really anyone that potentially realize that that would be a need. Again, we are here to make this process more efficient, more holistic, and much more efficacious, understanding again that there is a need for ongoing support to address the immediate crisis, but what happens beyond that. So again, we're looked at as that one-stop shop resource so that when someone comes here or calls, because we're hybrid, we do intakes first, both in person as well as virtually over the phone or via a chat, basically to let them know that they're not alone and that we want to make sure that they have information and access to all the resources and services that would support their needs. Structured in a way that, again, we have a relatively small staff when you think about the work that we do. Of course, under the authority of the circuit court, we report through the administrative judge, which is now the Honorable Danica Cotton. We have a court administrator, both of whom I report to. Within the last 2 years, we were able to get a deputy director. For over 6 years, I ran this pretty much by myself, along with the support team. But we do have a senior program advocate and an operations manager. And then, as you see, our program advocates who really are the point for survivors. When they come in, an intake is done. Prior to that, I should point out, the receptionist is really the first point of contact that gets all the essential information from an individual to make sure that they qualify for services. Unfortunately, oftentimes the court sends people to us that we cannot help. I don't know if they just want to move them out of the courtroom or sometimes forget that we are really here to serve survivors of intimate partner violence. We do not address family violence, which we've seen an increase of lately here in the county, but we cannot support those individuals. So it's intimate partner violence. The one exception or caveat would be elder abuse, because oftentimes it does involve a family member and we are able to assist them. However, the receptionist is the one that gets the necessary information. We don't ask for much, which is important. We really just need to know if the person lives in the county or if the offense occurred in the county, as well as making sure that they are one of the populations that we serve, meaning domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, or elder abuse. There also, at that time, a conflict check is done because we want to make sure that there are no conflicts with former survivors or even a respondent who comes in sometimes as a petitioner. And we then have to go through that process. But once we gather the information and we realize that this is an eligible client, they're immediately sent to one of our 3 intake specialists. And that's the one and only time that a survivor would need to really explain and talk about what happened, why they're here. Again, we understand that to constantly repeat that story can be traumatizing, triggering, and essentially it even re-victimizes someone. So we really want to cut down and eliminate the need for them to retell their story over and over again. Once the intake specialist gets that information, Their job is to then inform the individual, the survivor, about what resources are available to them here in the Family Justice Center. We don't tell them where to go. We don't give any advice per se. Our job is to listen at that time and to make them aware of available resources that could potentially help them, and then do a warm handoff to those agencies, which again are the partnering organizations that I just mentioned. And again, they're listed here. And of course, as you can see, they all address different areas, different needs, whether it be legal, whether it be clinical. One of the newer services is that we're now able to do forensic examinations. We have contracted services with a private forensic exam nursing company, if you will. Uh, and they are here on call as needed. They're here within 2 hours to provide forensic exams for survivors. So again, as I said, the goal is to make this process more efficient, more holistic. Once they have met with those individuals, depending upon the number of services they are needed, they could potentially meet with a case manager, and that position is currently open. But the way our process works, of course, if you can imagine someone needing to connect with 3, 4, 5 different agencies, again, that could be very complicated and complex. And daunting even, trying to make phone calls, trying to connect with people. So a case manager would be available to assist them with that process if necessary. Again, services that we provide, obviously advocacy, the immediate crisis intervention, ongoing support, legal services. We now have 6 law firms that are here, CLS being one of them. We initially only had, I believe, 3 when we first started. We have grown. CLS is one of the newer law firms that we brought on, but also, excuse me, Maryland Legal Aid, because they're able to do more than just the family law. Sorry, I'm getting losing my voice. We have an economic justice program as well. One of the things that we learned very early on is that survivors come in with issues that extend far beyond just their domestic situation. They have issues with consumer debt, housing, foreclosure. They needed additional support. So Maryland Legal Aid was one of the law firms that we reached out to. And I'm a former Maryland legal aider as well. I used to work for them. So I understood how important it was to have a very broad, in-depth reach to include other resources. Catholic Charities is here. The House of Ruth is here. As I pointed out, legal services are critical to helping survivors move beyond their immediate situations. We did a needs assessment after about 2 years of operation. For me, again, it's not what I think or what our staff thinks, how well we're doing. It was more important to hear from clients. What is it that we're missing? What is it that you need? How can we improve on what we're doing? And the 2 things, or 3 actually, that came about as a result of that study was basically they wanted to have more legal representation. Legal support was key. They also wanted to have transportation. Transportation was an issue. And the third was counseling. When we opened our doors, we had no clinical services. So with grants, we were able to bring on all 3, which now makes us much more complete and comprehensive and really better positioned to meet the needs of the clients we serve. Clearly, as I said, this model, which the Department of Justice has identified as a best practice, I mean, of course, you think about it, anytime you don't have to go to 4, 5, 6 different places, no matter what you're doing, it always proves to be much more helpful and beneficial to someone. So clearly it's more efficient. The coordination of services has enabled us to really streamline internal processes. We're able to go downstairs. We're able to talk to the state's attorney's office. We're able to get warrants served. We're able to do things very quickly here because of the units that are on board. What I will add is that the governmental agencies, the criminal justice in particular, are here full-time, 5 days a week, and that does make a tremendous difference. Unfortunately, the remaining 16 nonprofits that are here, for varying reasons, are unable to be here full time. Largely, it's resources. They don't have staff that can be here 5 days a week. So we do have a schedule set up where they're here at different times because there is also a great deal of overlap in what some of them do. But as a result of that, we're able to make sure that survivors, when they come in, we're able to meet their needs. So again, the coordination is efficient. Of course, the collaboration. We do know that victims are in a position, based on even the results that we get from our exit surveys, that they do feel a degree of safety. Obviously, it varies, but just having information and the ability to get support has helped them. And of course, again, the holistic delivery process is a lot. We have recently also started with special projects because, again, we understand that, or understood that it's much broader than just coming in for services. We want it to be somewhat preventative, but we also recognize that there are people who have gone through this process and they want to give back, and also that we wanted to make sure that our services were more expansive. So we have 3 projects currently running. One being satellite offices. With supportive OBW funding, we were able to set up 7 satellite offices throughout the county. They're all in police districts, stations, or in substations. So we're in police districts 5 and 7, which are both in Prince George's County here, one in Clinton, and District 7 is in Fort Washington. We're also in the city of Bowie and their police department, some of the municipalities being Mount Rainier, Bladensburg, and Cottage City. And then we're on Bowie State's campus. The office in Bowie State campus also includes an advocate. So they would not only be able to connect with us, but they could also speak with a representative who's there as an advocate. This really came about, which I think we all know, as a result of COVID, which showed us that being isolated does not mean that you can't serve people or work for that matter. So the way this operates, the satellite offices, they're all set up with equipment, with Zoom cameras and computers that allow them to network back into the Family Justice Center, particularly during our extended hours, which was another part of this project. We are now operating on Thursday evenings until 8 p.m., Friday evenings until 9 p.m., and on Saturdays, we're actually here for 12 hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So this was all in an effort to enhance both access, but also reach by being in these varying locations. In addition to the satellite offices and the extension, we also started another program, which is a national program called Voices, where former clients, survivors, are using their voices to really give back, to advocate, to do things that as a governmental entity, I can't lobby, I can't say things or do things, but they can. We also know that survivors who've recovered, who've moved on, oftentimes want to give back and they want to help people. So they're also ambassadors. They're also people that can reach out to clients that are coming in, or just to tell us what we can do or what they experience that would have made things better for them. So they're kind of the voices on the ground, working with survivors, but also helping us to ensure that we're effectively meeting the needs of those we serve. And then lastly, we have this really exciting program called Camp Hope, also a national program. We are an affiliate now of Camp Hope America, whereby we are taking children who are mostly the survivors' children, but we've opened it up to schools because we realize that there are probably more children who are exposed to domestic abuse, trauma, and violence that don't ever come through our doors. So we wanted to make sure that we were including other children. So Camp Hope is it's a evidence-based camping and mentoring program that was designed specifically for children that have been exposed to trauma and abuse. We take them away 4 nights to a camp and we work with them. There's a curriculum designed, but there's also activities. They swim, they do horseback riding, zip lining, rock climbing, they do everything. But the goal is really to help them understand that whatever they may have experienced or whatever is going on in their home or has happened to them does not define their life. We know that being exposed to trauma and violence robs children of their ability to be children oftentimes. I can share with you on a very personal level that I am the child of a victim. I lived through it. My mother was, if laws were in place that are in place now, then my father would have been under a jail. I had to live through that. I was an only child. I had no one to talk to. We know there's a lot of shame, embarrassment, even guilt. It would have been amazing for me to have had the ability to be with other children my age, people that understood what I was living with and what I was going through. So, Camp Hope is really something that was established to help children recognize that they do have a future. And the motto, as you can see, is to believe in yourself, believe in others, and to believe in your dreams, because dreams can be stifled and robbed when children are in those situations. So we're really excited about this. Last year, we took 30 kids ages 7 to 11 to a camp, Camp Putak in Baltimore County. This year, we're going back. We're taking probably about 40. We've expanded the age group. We're not taking just 7 to 11s this year. We're expanding now to take the 12 to 17-year-olds as well, which I'm a little nervous about having teens there, but we're going to get through it. But again, it's an amazing program. And even for me, as I said, just to see the progress of where the children were before they left for camp and where they are now. Half of them are coming back from last year, and their parents have talked to us about the change that they've seen in the kids and how beneficial it's been for them. So we're really excited about this project, and we're still taking children. So if you have kids between the ages of 7 and 17 that you think would be good candidates for camp, let us know, and we would be happy to interview them and see if we could take them. I kind of went through how this works a little bit, just from the standpoint of the intake and then the referral out to the partners. The only other thing that's unique about this and interesting, and for those of you, I know Ivy, you've been here. I don't know if others have, but we are by design set up so that all of our criminal justice partners are on the lower level in a very separate area of the building. Supportive services are all upstairs. We did that by design. We understand that many children, many survivors don't want to have anything to do with the criminal justice system. We're also understanding, particularly now with everything going on with ICE and immigration, that could be a real barrier for survivors even reaching out for help, let alone asking for it once they got here. So they can completely bypass our criminal justice partners and come upstairs to where all the supportive services are. And again, that was done by design just to make sure that. But again, the advocates do the safety planning, crisis counseling, we do court accompaniment. We have agencies here, the social services department that helps with housing, financial assistance with vouchers. We also, again, can refer for medical support. We have our own transportation, which is something that's also very unique about us. Within 2 years, County Council here in Prince George's County asked what could they do to support us, recognizing that transportation was also a barrier. We need transportation. So we now have a van, a 16-passenger van that we're able to go get clients, bring them here, take them to court, as well as other agencies around the county if necessary to get those other supportive services. And so that's, again, everything here is free of charge. I should have started out with that. We charge for none of our services. Again, I talked about the eligibility, a victim of one of the populations. Most importantly, the incident had to have occurred here in Prince George's County. You could live in Howard County, Baltimore County, but the incident had to have occurred here to be eligible for our services. Unfortunately, we have people that come in from Washington, D.C., that have cases in Washington, D.C. We can't help them. So important thing to remember, either they live here or the case took place here, the incident took place here. Otherwise, they're eligible. Again, most importantly, we do not ask for a lot of information. We just need to know those barriers, those factors, I should say. One very interesting difference from our Family Justice Center, as well as the Family Justice Center in Montgomery County, great program. We work together well, but they're under the authority of the sheriff's office. And what does the sheriff do? The sheriff serves warrants, right? So if a survivor was to go to the Montgomery County Family Justice Center, when they're there for intake and they're giving their information, what do you think happens? They're going to run a warrant check. And if that individual has an outstanding warrant, they will be served there. That's why our Family Justice Center, by design, again, it was established by the task force that it should be advocacy based. We did not want survivors to be penalized or to be re-victimized by the criminal justice system. So that is a very important difference. And as I pointed out again, all of our services are free of charge. We charge for nothing. Everything that they have, everything that we offer. I didn't include this because I don't think this is a newer slide. We have a food pantry now. We also make food available to survivors. Again, right after COVID, we understood that food insecurity was real. Even today, it's real. We're fortunate to get a lot of community support with programs that come in and bring us and restock our pantry. It's a beautiful pantry, if there's such a thing as a beautiful pantry, but it really is a very lovely pantry that gives all the essentials, dry goods, basic things that people would need. And it's heartbreaking to see sometimes how much they come out of here with because they're actually in that situation where they need it. We don't require appointments. Walk-ins are welcome. I went through the hours before, particularly the extended hours, which again have been very beneficial by just making the resources available beyond 9 to 5, because we know this is not a 9 to 5 issue. People need help around the clock. Unfortunately, we're not here 24/7, but at least we have expanded to an extent that extends beyond the basic business hours and court hours as well. So that's sort of a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. McCain. I've learned some things about your program that I didn't know, and I've been coming and being a partner with you for a couple of years. And so so thrilled that the camp program is up and running and off to the races. It sounds like wonderful participation. I had a question about the satellite program.
Mhm.
Do you have the ability for people to then speak to the commission or do submit a petition for a protective order via that mechanism, or is it getting connected to the main building at the Family Justice Center for services?
That would be the goal, because remember, these are in police districts or divisions. Actually, with the new change here, they've gone back to districts. They were divisions, but they are now districts again. They don't have staffing to do that. Again,
Okay.
the goal was really to connect them back to the resources here, the people here that could help them navigate and get those additional services, such as, the protective order, helping them to fill them out, so on and so forth. So they are not providing any direct service. The only difference to that would be on Bowie State's campus, because there is an advocate there. So that advocate could facilitate that process.
That's wonderful. I feel like I could probably come up with more questions. So I'm going to let somebody else come up with a question or two, and then I'll circle
I
back.
just hope everyone knew about us, because that was one of the things, even though now we're in our 9th year, July 6th will be the 9th year that we've been here. I'm still just shocked to hear that people still don't know about us. And I just hope that, everyone here is aware of who we are, and hopefully through this presentation has a better understanding of what we do, because that's critical. We're here to support the needs and to help you, really, because you do what you do. You need help. Survivors need help, and we're here to be that additional resource for them. I think someone put a question in the chat. I saw it. It went up and went away. I guess I could go to it. Incidents must have occurred in Prince George's County, but can they reside in another county? Yes, they can. So the question, if everyone didn't see it, is whether or not the incident must have occurred in the county, but they can reside in another county or even in DC or Virginia. Absolutely. Yes, because it would be a Prince George's County case. And so, yes, they would qualify for our services. And that's when I was referencing they could live in any jurisdiction, but if the offense occurred here in Prince George's County, they would be eligible for our services. Yes. Okay.
This is a more logistical question, but are the hours for the food pantry the same as the hours for the Justice Center itself, or do those have different hours?
They would be our hours because it's here in the building. Yeah, we actually took what was a storage closet and had it completely refitted with nothing but shelves so that we were able to stock it with food. So it is here on site in the facility. We actually even went out and bought shopping bags so that they leave here not holding on to items looking, we wanted it to, again, respecting people, honoring them, giving them the dignity by putting food like they just came from the grocery store. So that's what it would look like, but it's here on site. Yeah. And I see
There's another
another.
question in the chat. It says, great to know about the expansive list of services. I did want to clarify, when you say you can only serve IPV survivors, does that exclude cases where only child abuse is alleged? If it is a joint IPV CSA case, could you provide assistance?
So we would not be able to address the allegations of child abuse because, again, children are not one of the populations that we serve. However, because the Department of Social Services is a partner here on site, we would connect that individual to DSS, who could facilitate any particular resources or investigations done through CPS. But just to come in as a child abuse case, we would not be able to handle that part of it. But other than that, obviously, the domestic violence, intimate partner abuse side of it, we would, but we would not be able to handle that component of the issue.
That actually really sparked a question for me, or really a reminder to have you talk a little bit about the referral process that you have with the providers, because we are one of the beneficiaries of that Salesforce platform that you all operate, and receive a lot of the family law cases that these attorneys take ultimately and represent those clients. So if you wanted to just talk a little bit about how you refer matters that maybe are served by the partner organizations.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too much in the weeds, but it is a good question because that is one of the things that makes the Family Justice Center what it is that centralized intake process. So we do operate with a database that's called Hope Tech Suite that was designed, again, specifically for a multi-agency, multidisciplinary entity such as the Family Justice Center. I liken it to going to a mall. One of the things when we first opened our doors, sadly, the court didn't realize that when you have a database, that because you now have a password and you can log in, that it should not mean that any and everyone that has access to the system can see all of the information in that system, because obviously it's a violation of confidentiality. So Hope Tech Suite was designed with walls. So all of our partner agencies are given an account that they are able to receive referrals. As I mentioned, after a survivor meets with our intake specialist and it's now been determined that they would like to get legal assistance, they want counseling, they want to go into shelter, we are able to go into the database and refer that case to the varying or respective partner electronically. We will also follow up with an email. And I will add, Dominique has been amazing upgrading the system. She's now set it up so that emails automatically go to both the partner and the client, which cuts down on the redundancy of the intake specialist having to do that. But that information is then immediately conveyed to the partner, who's able to pick it up and get the case information. Again, remember, we don't want a survivor to have to constantly give all of the background information again. When a partner gets the information referred to them, they know who it is, what they need, and the particulars. Legal services are somewhat different because our legal partners do their own intake and they have a different system, but they do have enough basic information from that referral to know what they're getting and how they need to support or what the survivor is asking for. So that has really been, it's been a great tool. It didn't always start out that way. We had lots of glitches in it, but we're really happy that it's working well now. So thank you, Ivy, for bringing that up.
No problem. Michaela, do you have anything else, or does anyone else have any final questions?
All right. If no one else has any other questions, I do want to say thank you again to Dr. McCain. That was a great presentation. And in terms of getting the word out about the Family Justice Center, I will be sending this recording to our whole network so that anyone who has an extra spare hour can go and watch and learn about it, even if they weren't able to make it today. So hopefully that helps as well. Again, for everyone here, the Family Justice Center really is a great resource and is definitely a good tool to keep in your toolbox of resources for clients. And so, yes, I will be sending this out as well as contact information for the Family Justice Center and the website links, just so that everyone has it and it has easy access. With that, thank you all so much for coming. And of course, if you have any questions about the FJC or about Judicare or the mentor-mentee program, or even anything about invoices that are coming up soon, don't hesitate to reach out.
And thank you again for having me. And I encourage and invite all of you to come visit us to see it. I think some things are better seen than said. So if the opportunity presents itself, please come by and visit. We're happy to have you. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you.
Dissemination.